What's happening, traders and investors? It's Rod with Powell Group. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth. It's Friday, August 26th. Hope you're well. And in this short video, going to be discussing the market pullback today and the comments that Jerome Powell made. So essentially he said there's going to be a lot more pain ahead. There's a lot more interest rates that we can potentially expect. And the market pulled back in a big way today. And the weekly pullback is underway on the SP 500. I've been calling for this for the last couple of weeks, and I've been warning about it. But essentially the market did pull back, and I'm going to give my thoughts and opinions on, is this anything to worry about? Is this time to liquidate all longs? I'll give my thoughts and opinions. Like I said, we'll look at some charts and go from there. But before we get to it, make sure to smash the like, help support me in the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. If you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell, and you'll be notified on any future videos or when I go live. First and foremost, SPY did confirm a daily downtrend today. So we have our lower high and lower low. So we have the high, low, lower high here at 419.96. And then once we came down and formed a lower low and lost support there at 411.39, that's when we confirmed the daily downtrend. Because remember, an uptrend, you need higher lows and higher highs. And on the downside, you're looking for lower highs and lower lows. So we have the high, low, lower high, and lower low. Daily downtrend confirmed. We're heading to daily oversold territory. And that just means when you're changing trends, when you're confirming a daily downtrend, you just zoom out to the weekly time frame and then you watch for weekly consolidation. That's exactly what's happening. As soon as we lost the low there at 421.22, that would have been a great short because we hadn't consolidated in 5 weeks. So on the 6th week, we finally broke that low, that higher low pattern. So as soon as we lost the low of the previous candle, that was a great opportunity to go short. Even if you just shorted there, that would have been about 3.7% of downside. I actually bought SPXS, and I mentioned to Powell Group private members, I actually bought it here. I added to it on August 16th, and that was the day that we bottomed. So if you look at that from the low to the high here, that's about a 20% move on SPXS, and it's essentially an inverse bearer leveraged ETF. So when SPY goes down 1%, this goes up 3%-ish, and when SPY goes up 1%, this goes down 3%. So it's leveraged and it's a little bit more high risk as well. But I said I would add if we got to 430 on SPY. That's exactly what I did. And if you look where we topped out, it was right around that exact same spot, right? So if we take a look at the daily time frame, it was 431. That was on the August 16th. So that's where we topped out, and that's where SPXS bottomed out, right? Because essentially it's the exact opposite. But SPY, I was looking to add at 430. We get as high as 431.73, and then from there, from the high to the low, we're now down over 6%, heading towards daily oversold. And we closed at the low of the day today. We closed at the low of the week. It's looking like we could see more pullback, and we didn't even hold EMA 12 here on this weekly pullback and the weekly candle close. And we're starting to see bear volume pick up a little bit here as well. So I do think we could pull back, come down, perhaps flush 400, but we're still in a weekly uptrend, right? We have the low, high, higher low, and higher high. So we're just scouting a higher low compared to 371. And this is why charting is so advantageous, is because we can look at this and we say, okay, nothing's going to go straight up in a straight line forever. And we needed to come back and form a weekly higher low. This is just healthy in my opinion. Right now, short term, I'm bearish. Medium term, I'm bullish. And long term, I'm bearish. So, over the next couple days, couple weeks, I think it's going to be a little bit more pullback, a little bit more red in the markets. And then medium term, over the next couple of months, maybe 3 to 6 months, I'm bullish. And I think we're going to see one more final move and rally in the stock market. And then, long term, the next year or two out, I'm thinking the SP 500 could do something drastic. And I'm thinking it could do something just like the .com days, where I took this fractal. You can see here that the RSI peaked on the monthly in 96, and then the price action peaked 4 years later, rather. And then the exact same thing's happening now. We peaked in 2018 on the RSI, and then the price peaked 4 years later. And by that logic, I took that fractal from the .com days, and we were eerily similar, right? We're following that pretty much to a T, but we know that the markets are manipulated right now, and they're printing everything into oblivion. So the markets are very artificial. They're not really like they were back in the day because we didn't have all that money printing, right? So I think we may deviate from this a little bit. Again, I think we could see one final move higher in the markets, but ultimately I think we're going to see something similar where we come back and we drop, maybe 50%. That would bring us down to around the low 200s on the S&P 500, right? So again, we're still we still have a lot of work to do, right? We're still in a monthly downtrend. Anything under 460 on this monthly bounce was just a monthly lower high, and we're pulling back here now, and we're still in a monthly downtrend, the first time since 2008 financial crisis. That's a long time, right, from the lows there after the 2008 bust. And again, we typically see, a huge move to the upside and then a huge move to the downside, right? That aggressiveness is met on the upside and the downside, and same if we're going down. The more aggressive we are going down, the more aggressive the bounce usually is, right? And if you take a look at the SP 500 from the low there of March 2020 to the high, you're looking at over 125% increase, and in a couple of years, when the S&P 500 is accustomed to 10 to 12% annual return. So essentially, we got 10 years worth of gains, right, in a couple of years. So if we got that extended to the upside, I think we're going to get really extended to the downside. I'd be very, very selective with my longs. I'm focusing a lot on the S&P 500 short position. If you're going to do a long-term short, I recommend just actual short shares on the S&P 500. SPXS is a bit risky for the long term because they use options and things like that to get to those returns, right? Those 3x leverage. But if we take a look at the S&P 500 here on the weekly time frame, we knew what I've been saying for a while now is that Bitcoin has been leading the market. Bitcoin was on week 2 of weekly consolidation, and again, it's been leading the market. So classic example, Bitcoin's been on weekly consolidation number 2. So that increased the odds that SPY was going to see weekly consolidation begin at some point soon as well. And after that bearish reversal candle last week, right, huge upper wick. And then once we lost the low there at 421.22, that confirmed weekly consolidation, right? And again, Bitcoin again gave us that clue that we could see that it's not a guarantee, right? There is no guarantees. The only guarantee is there's no guarantees. But essentially, it's confluence, right? The more names that are pulling back, we know that they've been very correlated. And then, taking a look at the tech sector as well, the tech sector followed suit. So it's usually Bitcoin, and then it is very correlated to the tech sector, and tech following Bitcoin. And then we had the S&P 500 follow suit as well. And then taking a look at the DXY, the dollar is essentially a double top right now on the weekly time frame there at 109.29. We could see a potential cup and handle, but we are potentially at risk of confirming a weekly downtrend. If we lose 104.63 from here, that's the most crucial support on the DXY from here. And we are seeing a little bit of hidden bearish RSI divergence with lower highs and lower lows, and higher highs and higher lows and higher highs on the price action. So let's see if this double top actually ends up being the top, what marks the top of this bounce. Because if we take a look at the DXY here on the monthly time frame, we're overbought. We're anything over 70 is considered overbought. We're sitting at 76.54, and we haven't consolidated since January on the dollar. So that is we're now going on 7 months in a row, 210 days without any consolidation on the monthly time frame. So I would anticipate a pretty big move and pullback on the dollar. But again, just like we were looking at the S&P 500 on the weekly time frame, once we lost the low of the previous monthly candle, that indicated consolidation, right? So in this instance, we can say the same thing. Once DXY loses the low of the previous monthly candle, monthly consolidation will be underway, and then we can expect a pretty big pullback. Likely from the low there, you're looking at about a 3 to 6% pullback, and that would be good for stocks. So the best case scenario, when we want to see, the dollar break down, we want to see this double top remain. We'll watch for a potential cup and handle, which is a bullish continuation pattern, usually meaning more upside. And just a measured move, you would take the low to the high there, and then I already measured it out, but essentially we'd be targeting about 114.50 on the dollar on DXY. So this is one of the most important charts at the moment, so that's something to be watching for as well. But again, leading into the midterm elections here, we have it scheduled on November 8th, and we also have the Ethereum merge, which is coming up on mid-September. So it's about 20 days away before we have the Ethereum merge. Something I wanted to highlight here as well is that Bitcoin is a daily bear flag that confirmed. I said anything under 22,447 was a daily bear flag potential. And sure enough, we formed a little lower high. We didn't even get up there. It was a weak bounce. And then once we lost support there at 20,760, that confirmed the daily bear flag. And the target on Bitcoin is actually targeting 18,500s. So it's looking like we could see one more leg down. And if we take a look at the monthly time frame on Bitcoin, it was a head and shoulders, and we have a target move here of about 13K. So from the head and shoulders target, and it also lines up with the 0.618 there at 13K as well. So a lot of confluence in that 13K area, but we need to lose the low of the pullback at 17,500. If we hit that daily bear flag and target 18,500, that's fine. I think we still remain bullish. And I'm still expecting a pretty big move on Bitcoin and the crypto space, especially leading into that ETH merge, assuming everything goes to plan and everything goes well with that merge. But it's all about 17,500. If we lose 17,500, I think we're targeting the 13,000s on Bitcoin. But again, we'll have to see how this merge is going to go. The fact that we're getting weekly consolidation out of the way now is good in my opinion, because like I said, we've got about 3 weeks before the Ethereum merge. So if we do pull back for the next week or two and then tighten up, then we could potentially see a move into that merge. And a lot of people were speculating that we could see a buy the rumor, sell the news type of thing. But the fact that we're consolidating here on the weekly time frame, still in a lot of weekly uptrends on a lot of our names, tells me that we could potentially pull back a little bit more here leading into that. Now, I'll keep everybody posted, but it'll be different. It's a different story if we start bouncing next week and then we run hot into that over the next 3 weeks. That's a different story. But I do think that in the short term, over the next week or two, we're going to see some more selling pressure, and then we'll scout a weekly high or low. And it's just healthy right now. Again, we're just looking for weekly high or lows in a weekly uptrend. Nothing goes straight up, and I would argue that it's even better that we're forming these higher lows and establishing support on the way up. But like I said, I'm bearish in the short term, bullish in the medium term, and then long term, I'm bearish as well. Let me know in the comments below if you agree with me, disagree with me. Are you bullish in the short term, in the medium term, the long term? Are you bearish on the short, medium, long? I always love hearing from you. Let me know, and we'll continue the conversation in the comments below. Thanks again for joining us on The Pursuit of Wealth. It's Rod with Powell Group. We'll see you on the next video. Have a great weekend, everybody.